I need all my scammer niggas, bring that cash out.
Okay, well, what the fuck is up, bitches?
Hey.
What's up?
What's cracking?
What's up?
No.
A lot, actually.
Oh yeah.
I feel like there's
please
so much
do.
going on. Okay, I'm just gonna start it off. Have you guys ever had sex on your period? But I mean, like the day that is like the heaviest, like you're super bleeding the fuck out. I've never done that before, and I recently just had that experience, and it was wild as fuck, mainly because he didn't, like, he was so eager. It was just, okay, so I met this guy or whatever like that, and he took me out to dinner, and he was like really cute, tall, skinny, so I didn't know he had a big because tall, skinny dudes always got a fucking big dick. So I was like, so we came back to my apartment. We were like drinking and smoking hookah, playing games or whatever like that. Then when, we started kissing, playing around, whatever. And so he was like, like, what's up? Like, let's have sex. And I was like, oh, I really want to, like, I really do, but I'm on my period.
I'm bleeding.
And he looked at me, and I'm like on my second day, so I'm gushing, like,
Yeah.
thick pad. I got the thick granny panties and thick pad on. Like, it's a lot of blood. And so he looks at me and he's like, so let's get in the shower. And I was like, when I think, like, not that there's anything, like, I don't have anything against it, but like, to me, like, I imagine like having period sex, but like with someone that I've been with like for a long time, you're really comfortable, because first of all, period blood stinks. I'm bloated.
Yeah.
Sometimes particles of I don't know what's coming out. Like, it's just too much. And so I was like, we should really wait, because like it's my second day. And he was like, man, get in the shower. Like, I don't care. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So we get in the shower, and shower sex is so fucking awkward. He's tall. He's like 6'3", tall as hell. So he's like, it's like not working out. I'm 5'3", he's 6'3", it's not working out. I'm like, you know what? We obviously both don't give a fuck at this point. So let's just go fuck on the bed. I'm just gonna put a towel down and whatever. So we literally start having sex. He pulls out.
Was there a blood clot on his
No, wait. He starts eating my pussy. Mind you, I know there has to be blood, because we were just fucking, like, there was just penetration. You just put your dick out. I know there was blood. And so he stops for a second. He's like, damn, I'm eating your pussy right now, and you're on your period. And I looked at him, and he went back to eating my pussy and just kept going. And I'm like, this man is a freak. Like, I have never experienced this before.
You should have got down on one knee. It was time to propose. It was time for you to propose.
It was really good. Like, he has a big ass dick too. Like, he's skinny and tall, like I said. He pulled his dick out when it literally like was curved. It was like wrapping around his motherfucking hip and shit. It was huge.
Oh my god.
And the sex was so bomb. And I'm just like very pleasantly surprised, because I've never had period sex. So I always thought that it was gonna be like messy and like it was very messy. I have to get some whole brand new covers and shit like that. But it was actually like not bad at all. Like, okay. I'm very surprised.
Bad. I don't know why period sex gets such a bad rap. I mean, I know why, because we be socialized to be disgusted with ourselves and our coochies and blood, but it don't be that bad.
It wasn't bad.
Period sex.
And there was no smell at all, actually. Like, there was no smell. And I'm the horniest on my period as well. So it was like, and the fact that he was like fucking me like I wasn't on my period, because like that shit turned me on a lot. Like, you still willing to see my blood and all? Like, what the fuck? Where'd you come from? Like, what the fuck?
I don't like period sex. Like, it does not feel good to me. Like, I think that I be too wet. Like, I just be too wet, and it's just like very slippery, slidey, and it's just like I don't feel anything, so I don't like it. But you saying he has a big ass, because I do like penetration. Like for some reason, like when I'm on my period and like it feels like something's hitting, like it hits a spot that I feel like doesn't exist when my period isn't on. I don't know. It's just like a different spot that it feels, I don't know. I think it's like when my period's on, I get a lot of pressure. Like it just feels like literally feels like my coochie has a weight in it and it's just like pulling down. And when I'm getting penetrated along with that pressure, it feels very good. But any clit, anything, like it wouldn't feel like anything. You would have to have a big ass.
I will say that it definitely was way wetter like that I've ever experienced because of the blood.
Yeah.
So I get that. I can see how that can be a little annoying because it was slipping out a lot because of that. So I was a little annoyed by that. But I mean, once we found the right position though, it was lit. I don't know. That was fun.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that periods smell though is not really, I mean, like blood has a smell to it, right? But it's not that strong. But the smell that we associate with periods is because of the period products we use. It's because pads stink because they're soaking up and whatever the is in the pad, and then tampons make your vagina so it's really, so the whole thing where we're like, well, it stinks, it do stink, but it's not the actual coochie or the blood, it's really the that we use to whatever. That's why people who use like the cups, the disc and they have different smells because it's not the pad and the tampon. So there's that. And then the other thing is, I'm pretty sure that when you're on your period, your cervix is lower. So that might be what you're talking about, is feeling heavier because it literally is it's different.
It's different in there. Well, you know, maybe I have to not look into, but I hate my period. Like I have a bad relationship with my period. I cram, I get back pains, my titties are super, super sore. Like, and so sex is just not on my mind because thinking of bouncing, my titties hurt so bad on my period. So thinking of like, and I already have heavy ass titties. So like bouncing up and down, I would be in so much pain. Like it just hurt so bad. And even like a brush on my nipple is like, I can't, like I just rather not. I'd rather not.
Would you have been embarrassed if he would have pulled his dick out and it would have been a blood clot on there?
I'm pretty sure there was. I didn't suck his dick because I was like, hell no. So I don't know. I never looked to see if there was. I think there was at one point where I was writing and then he was like trying to hit it from the back. So like we like switched positions and like it was like a big red pool of, it was like squirt and fucking blood on my bed and it was fucking disgusting. But like when I tell you he didn't give a fuck, so he didn't make me feel like, I feel like the reason why I didn't feel disgusted was because he was not disgusted at all. Yeah,
of course.
And if he would have been like, this nasty, then I would have been like, it is nasty. Why are we doing this? But he was really like, I don't give a f-. Like, I've never experienced that in my life.
Which is a testament to why having somebody who you're f***ing be like cool and calm and collected is so bomb, because then you don't f***ing feel weird about it. Because then it's like, no, I mean, we just,
we in this thing.
Exactly.
but now I'm like, damn, because I want to make him my buddy because big and now this happened. But I'm like, you're one of the people who doesn't care. So you're gonna want to all the time. Like I'm used to buddies who like don't want to. Like I'm used to fuck buddies who like, oh, you're on your period, okay? Like we can just chill. No, he's not gonna be like that. He's a period. I'm gonna like it's gonna be a lot. But I'm very excited to see. Cause
you just got to put your foot down. If you want to say no, you're gonna have to be like, just it's a no. Like no, you cannot come over. Like no,
not today.
Would y'all have sex with someone who's on their period?
I do. I don't use my hands though, like, cause that's just, I feel like we talked about this before. Like, that's just me. I'm the type of person when I eat chicken wings, like I use a napkin in between like every bite. Like, I just don't like.
Yeah, you're not into the coochie juices on your forehead.
I'm not into it. So like, yeah, I have, but the dildo, I'll like, yeah, no problem. Lay a towel down. I don't give a fuck at all. But
I don't know.
I'm definitely not eating coochie. That is not like I don't like to eat coochie on the regular period coochie.
I don't like seeing blood like that. And now someone else's blood, it's like, yeah, we're pushing it. It's pushing it. That's why I didn't become a nurse. I didn't want to see so frequently. I didn't want to see blood.
Yeah. I think it was like, maybe it was it, first of all, pandemic brain, I don't even know what time is anymore. I was gonna say last summer. Were we in a pandemic last summer?
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't last summer. It wasn't the summer before that. Me and this girl and a couple of girls, I like arranged a group of hoes to go see this NBA player and his homeboys. And we went to like the Airbnb that they rented or whatever. And you know, whatever, drinking, doing drugs, whatever the fuck. And then it, you know, at some point it's time to fuck, which is so interesting to be so farly disconnected from that like life as of right now, because I have not been in no circumstance like that, because I was always responsible for like kicking off the actual sex. Like I brought the bitches and then I gotta also be the one to like
initiate
something to make the bitches comfortable, like, or whatever, even though they're getting paid. It's not like they're, you know, so
right.
So I'm like, all right, time for the sex so the night can go in a timely manner, right? And one of the girls comes up to me and she's like, well, I'm on my period, so I don't know what to do. And I don't know if I should just suck dick. And I was like, I mean, you do what you're comfortable doing. And she was like, I mean, I'll just pull my tampon out. And I was like, okay, cool. And so, and she was concerned about whether they were going to be concerned. Right. And my opinion is that most don't care. Like, they want to get coochie, so they're not, I don't know. And I think it's also a thing where it's like, if you say something to them beforehand, then they might be like, I don't know. But if you're just fucking them and they see blood, they're not going to be like, you're on your period. Yeah. No, they're in the pussy at that point. They're like, whatever.
Yeah, at that point, it's too late.
Exactly. So it ended up, and then so I knew she was on her period, whatever. So it ended up being that me, her, the NBA player, and his homeboy ended up having like a foursome kind of a thing. And she sat on my face and I ate her pussy, and you know, was it blood? It was blood. Was it bad? No, it was fine. And it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
a little seasoning to the coochie. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
It wasn't that bad. And one of the other basketball players ate her pussy too, and it just I don't know. There was blood on it was white sheets, so you could see the blood.
I guess I'll be like the same way like a dude. Like if I was like in that situation and I didn't know, like I'm not gonna stop.
It's too late.
You know what I'm saying? But if you tell me beforehand, then I'll probably be like, no.
Yeah.
But if I didn't know, then
I'm not gonna stop, but I'm also not gonna eat pussy. Like if my face gets down there and I see that you're bleeding, like I'm gonna go ahead and switch to the finger. Like we're gonna switch it up.
I also just recognize that I'm a disgusting person because I feel like that's probably not even by far not even the worst like disgusting body fluid situation I've ever been in, but it wasn't bad.
Would you ladies shoot content with your period on, with a tampon in, with like have it be shown to your fans?
I've never done it, but I've been thinking about doing it because I'm pretty sure like people will still buy that shit.
Yeah. Well,
but I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna say, but I don't know if OnlyFans allows blood. Exactly. That's the only thing.
I've seen a girl, one of the girls I follow on Twitter, she had like she's an OnlyFans girl, and she had posted a picture like with her legs open, her coochie out, and her tampon string was just dangling. And she got so much, it was both ways, but she got a lot of like backlash of like, and it was mostly the men who were like, oh my God, why would you do that? That's disgusting. Now I have to unfollow you.
What is a coochie? Do you like coochie or do you not like coochie? Because if you like coochie, then it bleeds. It bleeds. Like, I don't understand. Like, every time men complain about something like that, it's like, okay, so you don't like coochie. Just say that because It bleeds. What do you want us to do? Pretend that it doesn't?
Right.
Act like our doesn't stink? Like, no, it does. I'm sorry. Like,
I haven't shot any content where like I have my tampon on or anything, but I've definitely like been on my period, and you know, but I haven't like, and not because it's a lot to do with how I feel on my period. Like I literally I can't. Like it just I can't. But I will think about that. The negative.
No, see, me on my period, like I'm so horny. I literally masturbate all motherfucking day. I have a special towel that I lay down that I just keep for the week.
The ceremonial towel.
That bitch is blooded up. I don't know why I'm so horny during my period, but like 2 or 3 days before my period, I don't want to think about sex. Don't fucking touch me. I don't like no one speaking to me. Like that's when I don't want. Like that's when I don't want any sex. Like 3 days, 2 days before, I'm so fucking moody. I don't want to do shit. But the week of my period, I'm trying to get pregnant. Like at that point, like please nut in me. Like that's what I want to do.
Yeah, I since we had the conversation on the pod about trying to shoot more content that mirrors like how we want to fuck in real life, and like, you know, doing stuff that's not just like dick, male gaze centered. Mm-hmm. I think a couple months or a month or so after that episode, I did a scene from my OnlyFans where intentionally like my tampon string was showing. And it was fun. I mean, also, first of all, like, bitch, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. First, I don't know. Because my thing is, Twitter is gonna Twitter. Like, yeah. If you put a picture of yourself, if you exist online as a sex worker, you're gonna get some heat about something because that's Twitter. And then if you do something that is even subtly like provocative or would make people reactive, you're gonna get a shitload of shit. So you post a picture of your tampon string on Twitter. Yeah, Twitter's gonna be Twitter. Also, let me just say that person probably got an increase in traffic to their OnlyFans page that day, even though they were getting hella backlash. Yep. I'm sure that the people who were talking about the tampon string also were the people who were buying the content with the tampon string. Like, so it's just one of those things. I don't know. And then the other part is people on your OnlyFans with you. So yeah, they don't give a fuck. Like, you know, and I think a lot of OnlyFans fans also think that they're like your partner. Like they be believing that they're your like girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. So like you being on your period is not really, I don't know. It's just different. So to me, it's like, I don't give a fuck. I would like to do more content where I'm very visibly on my period, but OnlyFans is weird about blood and shit. Yeah. Yeah.
Interessante. Very interesting.
Yes, because as I'm thinking about, you know, other bodily fluid instances and partners who are just like cool and with the shits, literally, the first thing that came to my mind, first of all, I've on people multiple times, but the first situation that came to my mind was, this probably was like 3 years ago. And I don't know if I was just like diarrheal or if something was just loose, or I'm not really sure, or if he was just like digging in there in a way. It was pooping. I don't know. I fucked this photographer and he fucked me in the ass, and I like fully shit on him. Like it wasn't just like a little bit of, you know, thick. No, it was like full on. He pulled his dick out. You could smell it. There was shit. Did I suck it? I did. Did we get in the shower? Yes. Did we keep fucking? Yes. And he was totally fine. Down. He did not give a he was the one who was like, nah, suck it. Like it was like on some like, we was just dirty discussing people. And also speaking of Twittering, I tweeted about that and got dragged, of course.
Yeah, of course. So like, tell me more though. So like this in your mouth, what is that experience? What is that like?
You know, so honestly, it's one of those things where I feel like when you're not having sex and you talk about things that happen during sex, it always sounds disgusting. Spitting in your mouth, what the fuck? no. But when you're like in the middle of the actual sets, I feel like your inhibitions and whatever are just different. So it is like, I don't give a if you're spitting in my mouth, I don't care, whatever. Or like if you, whatever. So I just want to say that context also applies here. That like just talking about it, yeah, that is some disgusting ass shit. And literally it is disgusting, but like in the middle of it, it's different because the vibes is going and you're just
I agree. I agree with that.
There's that to consider. I don't know. I just know that I went in with the guac, so it was on my hands and going in my mouth, and it wasn't like I swallowed a big ass like.
Right.
I'm trying to.
Okay, because I'm trying to figure out how much was actually on there. Was it a lot, or it was like a little streak? Like what?
It was a streak along the entire top of the.
Okay.
And so
it was there.
It wasn't like watery diarrhea. It was like when it's nice and soft.
Yeah. I get
Girl.
it. You know, like imagine, you know how you put a banana into the chocolate and then you pull it out and it's like a thin layer, but it's not like chunky.
Yeah.
So it was like that, but it was only along the top for whatever reason. I don't know why. Only along the top. And then he pulled it out. We smelled it. I look back. I'm like, that stink. He's like, yeah, dude, suck it. And I said, okay.
And it was lit.
And I honestly, I don't really have like a recollection of being like, or this is so. I mean, I was recognizing that I was sucking a dick.
Yeah.
And it was because he didn't give a fuck too.
Right.
Like when he didn't give a fuck, you like, why would you give a fuck?
Exactly. I mean, like I normally am I don't give a fuck type person, but that's like an extraordinary situation.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you know, you would. And because he was kind of into it and was just like, you know, what's good? It just, you go with the vibes. And then so I did the little sucky with a 2-hand. And then he was like, all right, let's get in the shower, clean up, and keep going. And I was like, okay. Like I literally was just doing whatever the he said, basically.
Yeah.
And and then I washed his off and kept on fucking.
Yeah, that's the thing about booty holes too, because it's like you really don't know. Like it's like your stomach isn't really feeling like anything, but the pressure is just gonna make that happen literally, whether you want to or not. And it's like, so you can't even warn anybody. Like, you know, when you doing booty hole stuff, that's the risk you take with booty holes.
It's the risk that you take when you do booty hole sex is that shit may appear. Now, I will say, admittedly, that like the really admirable thing about like gay men is that they ensure for the most part that they have taken the shit and then they do their enemas. And while I'm not someone who is like super pro fan of enemas because they end up up your rectum after a while, the key point there that was missing in my scenario was I didn't take a shit first.
Mm-hmm.
Had I taken the shit first, that wouldn't have happened. Because the point is, if you got shit, if you have to poop and you got shit sitting in your intestines or lower intestines or right in your booty hole area, whatever the that anatomy is called, when the shit goes in there, it's gonna scoop out. It's gonna scoop it out.
Whatever's chilling.
That's why you gotta clear it out first. And we didn't clear it out because we were being spontaneous and we was being spontaneous and then.
Yeah, I feel like that of gay men. Like I feel that gay men do the enema and all this stuff. But then I also feel like they're same shit literally happened. Like we randomly, I wasn't planning on you today. Maybe like I just met you and we it, and now that's what happens. But I do.
Isn't there a special name for that? What's it called?
An enema?
No, like when somebody leaves on your.
Oh yeah, painting.
There's something else. I forgot what I got to think about it though.
Think about it.
It was funny.
Normally people say like you painted, you don't want to paint because that's you leaving the on the. And the thing is though, with gay men, as my experience as obviously an outsider to that community and but dual interest in anal sex,
right?
That they experience more like shame and secrecy around talking about painting versus like, I just don't give a fuck. I actually really mostly don't care, and I'm not really that embarrassed, and it's like whatever. Whereas that's part of like, you got a clean asshole. Like that's really an important thing. And I get it, because it's really not ideal to on somebody, whether it's just a tiny bit or a lot or whatever the case may be. But I don't know, I guess like most things for me, it's like if we're rolling the dice here, you got to be prepared for a number of scenarios that could occur, and you're not gonna make me feel bad because
body's body, like
yeah, you know, like,
yeah, I feel that. Well, switching gears, sorry, if you don't mind. I just remembered you recently, it might have been yesterday. Well, I don't know, this is gonna come out forever after this. But you were saying that like civilian women, when you hear like, what is it that when you hear this
I should read the answers. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You said really I want to know.
Yeah, what do you think of? And I thought, because you know, majority of my friends are civilian women, I think that they feel, you know, there's like this age-old tale of finding a man to provide for your family or whatever the fuck. So I feel that they think finding a rich man is just what they are supposed to do, because they are supposed to find somebody to provide for their family. Like that is what we have been like taught, you know, like whether we want to say it or not, that's what we've been taught. Like, find a good man.
Yeah, you have to find a provider.
He's gonna provide. And so I really feel like I think that's really how they just flip it in their brain to be like, she's not talking about sex. Like she might be talking about sex work, but I am talking about finding a nice, suitable partner to provide for my family.
Because to me it's, I don't know, like if you're dating solely to find a man to financially provide for you, I wouldn't say call that sex work per se, but like 9 times out of 10, I mean, I'm not gonna generalize because there's a lot of fine rich men, right? Whatever, like I'm not saying that, but like a lot of rich men aren't fine, they're not attractive, but they still get wives who are beautiful and, you know what I'm saying, banging body, all that other shit, whatever. So like, would we consider that like a form of kind of like sex work in a way?
I would, but they would not. 1000%. They completely,
because it's like, to me, it's like, how I view it is like a sugar baby without being like a sugar baby, you know, because you might be dating somebody that's in your age range, so they might not be way older than you, might be the same age, but you might not necessarily be attracted to him. You might think he's ugly, short, whatever, you know, whatever your idea is of ugly, he might be that for you, and for you still married him and you still giving up coochie and sucking for money.
The interesting thing is, like, the first thing that when I think about this that comes to me is like, the majority, and if we're speaking specifically of like cis women dating cis men or marrying cis men, the majority of these women are not ever actually in any way, shape, or form partnering with rich or class men. So like that alone already like cuts out this whole conversation.
That as well, because like that's not happening.
Like more often than not, from what I know, we partner with people in our same like class. So if you are rich, then you're going to date a rich man, but you're already rich. So some of that is a little bit, you know, muddied by the richness already. If you're middle class, you're most likely, and if you're poor and impoverished, you know what I mean? So like, there's already just that piece, and the majority of people are not rich. So like all the women who are like, like broke boys don't deserve no it's like,
no, you're actually the broke dude. Like, it's okay. That's what you're doing.
You are also broke, and that's not like a moral judgment or anything. That's just a reflection of like
the truth.
How people partner with each other You know what I mean? It's just you stay within your class. So there's that. The other thing is, I hate to do the thing where we like equalize like marriage and sex work, even though the concepts are really similar. But I hate to do the thing where we do that, because it like attempts to give validity to sex work by saying, well, you do the same thing I do when you marry a man for money. But the reality is it's not really the same, because marriage is not criminalized like the way that selling is.
Yeah.
Really so different, even though the concept feels the same. And then the other thing is, women who are married have no desire to be in like sameness with us. So they're gonna do whatever the is in their power to other themselves from us, even if the concept feels the same. And they also benefit from marrying men socially, not like health-wise, because I think that married women end up dying sooner than like single women. But like there's social benefits to partnering with a man and marrying a man, like, and there's no social benefits to being a fucking toot. So yeah, I hate to do that, even though, yeah, at face value, it is a very similar concept. It is doing some kind of emotional, erotic, intellectual labor for a man with the agreement that it is transactional and there will be reciprocity in some way, and that the transaction will include a house, rent, a car, something, right? Like ours is just more explicit. Theirs is just like in a fucking bow kind of a thing. But I don't know, because I was just listening to Cardi B and I was just singing along, and I was just thinking to myself, when women who don't sell pussy rap along to this, and they're all like in their bag feeling, what the are they like? Because my experience is that bitches, and again, this I feel like it's just whatever. Bitches who sing that, they don't even have the skill to negotiate that. Like you don't even.
And not even that. Yeah, it's just I don't know. They don't negotiate it. That's the thing is that a lot of civilian women, because it's popular to talk that talk, they talk that talk, but in reality, in their real lives, they're not doing none of the shit that they're talking about. They're not getting anything, like, at all. Nothing is happening.
We can even like, let's even further whatever this. City girls, specifically what
they're not even living the life that they're talking about. So it's like
Meg, same thing. Like we had 2 experiences just this past month where we saw like the main bitches who be talking about like were like either carried by their or like something that just reflected that their interpersonal interactions with men do not follow suit with what the they be talking about. And I want to also just name that, like, that's not to say that like people who are sex workers don't also have interpersonal relationships with men where it's not transactional, right? Like I have sold and am a sex worker, and I've also dated men and been a fucking bird, right? But I also am selling pussy. Like the context of me being a sex worker also exists.
It's there, yeah.
You feel me? Like
right. I need to know what these answers were, though, because I do really want to know the answer, because I have recently had this conversation with a group of civilian women, and not this specific conversation, but them talking down on women who are not sex workers, right? Who are not sex workers, quote unquote, but marry for money. If that makes any
like a gold digger,
basically, yes. And them saying that, like,
shout out to gold diggers,
huh?
Shout out to gold diggers.
I love us. No, I'm just kidding. I love us.
But like, you know, them saying like, oh, you being with this man because he has money, like that's not gonna last long. And what are you gonna do if he leaves you? How are you gonna get money? Like, what happens if he leaves? How are you gonna get money? I'm gonna find another man. Like that's my job.
Exactly.
That's literally my entire job.
Will my pussy and my throat stop working? No. So on to the next bag.
And they're like, well, when you get older, you're not gonna look as good. And I'm like, you guys don't know anything, because there's old ass gold diggers, like that, like there's old ass gold diggers, there's old ass women selling pussy, there's old ass like that literally
doesn't matter.
Doesn't even matter. And then on top of that, I'm like, you know, and then in return, sorry, they were like the same thing. But I'm not dating for money, but I also have standards, and I'm not.
But you wouldn't date a broke man.
I'm not gonna date nobody broke, and da 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 da. So it's just like, but what are you actually saying? Like, I don't understand.
I don't know what the fuck they're saying. People like, literally just repeat and parrot whatever the fuck they think sounds good with no critical like analysis.
And then I'm like, just because you're marrying somebody for money doesn't mean that I don't have a plan. Like, yeah, I married this person for money, but maybe I also made sure that the prenup, if I got divorced, had me set up for life. Or maybe I made sure that a part of the time where he's giving me money, I'm investing it in something. Like, you have no clue what the is really going on. Like, I feel like civilian women tend to think that we literally just like for a bag. And not to say there aren't who do that, right? But like, I feel like they just feel like all people who are dealing with men for some type of something physical, I don't know what I'm trying to say, because it's not just money, it's like the lifestyle and everything, you know, it's just like that. Like, they feel like they have this bum mentality, and like they're literally just doing it for this surface thing.
Like we're birds or something. Like, no, like a lot of times that money that I'm getting, I'm saving it, or I'm putting it towards whatever the I'm doing. Like,
yeah,
the thing is a lot of people think whores are dumb. That's the like, they really think we're dumb as fuck. They think we don't have any type of money management skills. That's why they keep saying, well, you're not gonna last long doing this. How do you know? There's always a man with money by himself. Why won't I last long? Like, what the like? So the reality is, they just think we're stupid. Like, it is like that's what it is. They think they're smarter, and they think we're not. They think we're dumb. They think why would we do what we're doing if we were so smart? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really what it is.
And moreover, the comment about like, it's not going to last long. First of all, half of marriages end in divorce. So everyone's chance of ending their relationship is pretty equal across the board, that it's 50-50. And then the other thing about all of this, really, truly, and V, you just hit on this, is that's a lot of ableism, right? Is that the people's assumption around sex workers is intelligence, and how that informs the work that we do is ableist, because it's like, first of all, it's just ableist. So there's that.
Yeah.
The other thing is, it reminds me how much people hate poor people, because the reality is that the majority of sex workers are poor. And I'm talking specifically about who are selling pussy. They are poor. They don't maybe not have a plan. They don't have a savings account. They don't have well, after this, I'm going to do this. They're literally just trying to make their bread and get by that day and figure it out the way that they can. And it's just, so it just reminds me that people hate poor people, because it's like, instead of doing this whole thing where it's like, well, what are you going to do after that? The question should be, why is it that women have such a difficult time navigating accessing money and resources? Like, we should not have to even think about it that way. But the fact of the matter is, so they're bringing up a good point, but they're just not bringing it up from the perspective that like looks at things in a way that makes sense or is critical thought, you know? Because the point is, bitches are poor,
and just like them. Just like them. Like, they are also, you slave at your stupid ass job every day. You hate that shit. You go there because you ain't got no fucking money and you need to pay your bills. So bitch, like, the same shit. Like,
yeah.
I need all my